Peterson Show, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, check out the podcast section.
Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Football Friday? We did a Football Thursday yesterday out at Bucs camp. That was fun. It's good to be out there, see the boys with my own eyes. We got a lot of baseball to get to, though, today. Leonard Fournette chatting, Ohtani doing crazy things, U.S.-Mexico in a border war. That was ugly last night between USA and Mexico in soccer.
Always is.
And they got your favorite coaches back for the U.S. men's national team. The stadium shenanigans in Oakland. What does that mean for Tampa Bay? John Romano's just dropped a column. I was just reading it in the Times and shaking my head once again. Just so many things in that column I don't I think are incredibly inaccurate, number one, and I just don't understand where he's coming from. But we'll try to sift into some of the false narratives and get right down to it, to what's going on here in Tampa Bay. So lots to get to today. We thank you guys for jumping in. Look, Jeremy's already in. Bucs raised bold. Bolts is already in. So thanks for coming in, guys. You can always join us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, fanstreamsports.com, dspmedia.com, RHS TV. We are everywhere. So download one of our apps, FanStream Sports, RHS TV, and you can get the show anytime you want. All right, good morning to you, Nick Geddes. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little beach action yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Caught a dub in softball yesterday.
You got a dub in softball?
1-4, baby.
You guys had four double plays in softball?
We turned 4 double plays, including one to win the game.
Wow.
And the guy who
turned like
oh, these were major
6,
league
4, 3?
These were major league turns.
Were you playing second?
Hell no.
Okay.
Let me just remember how I told you I used to play second?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, you turned 4 double plays?
No,
I
have been moved to the outfield, and I can't argue with the success.
Right field? They stick you in right field? Are you playing right field? You're playing right field in softball? Yikes. And you're not hitting bombs?
Hey, listen. I got on base 3 times yesterday.
That's where they stick all the big fat guys that hit home runs and can't run. Or they're a catcher.
I'm a different breed of right fielder. Hey, every ball that's been hit my way in 2 games in right field, I've gobbled up. I've gobbled every single one of them up.
But your replacement at second is
my
clearly an upgrade.
My replacement at second, I have to admit, is an upgrade.
At least you're honest.
I couldn't turn 1 double play in the 2 games I played, and he just goes and turns 4. And I was watching it. I had obviously a front row seat to every single one. I'm like, oh wow, that looked really easy.
Good stuff. Well, the Rays had quite an exciting game
yes, they
yesterday.
did.
By the way, we got Scott Reynolds coming on at 10:30 from the Pewter Report. He's been out there all week at Bucs mandatory minicamp, so we'll get his take on that. So we'll save a lot of our Bucs stuff for the 10:30 segment. And then Paul Wilson's going to join us at 11:30. Our media mogul, actor, and media critic extraordinaire. He went to see Flash and has a review for us. So, and a couple other things that he wants to tell us to watch for your weekend entertainment. So we'll do that at 11:30. So before we get into the Rays and some stadium stuff there, with Oakland and Tampa Bay and the big win yesterday. Just some quick thoughts wrapping up the OTAs yesterday, just kind of what I saw out there. And, I didn't really see this on my video. I'll retweet this today. But there was a moment where Baker Mayfield and the quarterbacks were running over to the other field to get on, start doing the other drill, and Jason Light was standing like kind of off to the side. So the three quarterbacks were running, and Trask and Wolford just kept running, and Baker Mayfield does the veteran quarterback savvy move, just kind of floats over to Jason Light, says a couple of things, a little smiley, jokey, and then off to his. It's like, veteran move. Go Brown knows the boss a little bit, That's how you get it done. That's how you get it done in this world. That was a strong move, Baker. And just watching him out there moving around in the offense, just kind of, it's so different. There's so much pre-snap movement, and they're not even doing half of what they're going to do. But it's so different to watch. Guys are getting open, scheming guys open. I mean, none of this means anything until you put on the pads at Minnesota. But it is definitely a breath of fresh air, and you get a sense, and I'll just be a curmudgeon old man here and say, you get 3 OTA workouts and you cut the last one off by a half. I mean, you got a new offensive coordinator. You got a new offensive scheme. You got a quarterback competition going on. These guys have the next 6 weeks off, and you got to give them an hour off. Well, a practice time that you could be using. You're that good? You're that good already?
Well, again, you try not to worry about what other teams are doing around the league, but there are a few teams that I don't even think even took mandatory minicamp. Like the Commanders shut it all down. And remember, they're coming in with a new offense with Bieniemy and Sam Howell as the quarterback, and they didn't even do mandatory minicamp. I believe the Jets kind of went the same route. They shut things down as well, and Rodgers is a veteran.
Hold on. What
are you looking at? I know. I saw you distracted over here.
But I'm listening to the two teams that you brought up, the great traditional NFL franchises, the Jets and Washington.
True.
I mean, okay. Is there any good team out there that's taking all mandatory minicamp off?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I'd have to do some research, but I just know of those two.
It just kind of hit me yesterday, and I should shut my mouth when it comes to stuff like this, but you guys know me. I can't shut my mouth. And I'm like, okay, let's give them the last hour off. And then we come to the podium, and it's like, what message did you give the guys? Come back in shape. Well, that's a rousing, motivational speech. Todd is a great football coach. He's a great defensive coordinator. But it's just that, like, I'm thinking, like, would Tomlin do that? I don't know. Maybe he did. Would Belichick do that?
Well, speaking of Tomlin, I might have to cue up the motivational speech he gave yesterday that was making the rounds on social media.
Let's do that.
I probably
should. Let's juxtapose it with Todd Bowles' speech yesterday. I mean, I know it's not like you're not winning any games in June. I get it. But it's there's. I think Todd's been around here so long, and we love the guy. And personally, it's just like, I want some more fire, man. I want some more fire. I want some more optimism. I want some more get me excited. It's just, I mean, we'll play some of the press conference from yesterday. And It's just like.
Well, do you want to hear the Tomlin one?
Yes, I do want to hear the Tomlin.
Because this might wake you up.
I do want to hear the Tomlin.
I think you might enjoy this one.
This might make me even more.
It almost applies to everything in life if you hear the words.
Okay.
Man, in the growth and development of this thing, man, I'm talking to you about norms, expectations, mindsets that you should have. And it's always good to acknowledge reasonable expectations. I expect you to get better in all areas, man, whether it's the knowledge relative to what it is that you do, the maintenance and the preparation of your body, the understanding of the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You need to continually be a guy on the rise. That is a reasonable expectation, as opposed to just coming in here putting in time. What do I mean by that? I mean the things that made you viable in the past aren't going to be the things that make you viable moving forward. Wow. You better be continually getting better.
Yep.
As long as you're sitting in rooms like this. I ain't doing my job if I'm not pointing that out. You guys that have been here and know what it's about, man, we expect you to be significantly better.
Wow.
Hear the words. You were a young guy, man. We might have tolerated mental errors a year ago. We'll have less tolerance for it moving forward. It's just a reasonable expectation. And so let's just be really transparent, man, about expectations in this business, about how competitive it is. I never want you worrying about people on the outside, even the man sitting next to you. This is a man versus himself battle. You got to be continually pressing to get better with that understanding that this is a highly competitive line of work that we're in.
Wow. Wow. That's one thing Rondé always said, you know, you wake up every day, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. What's it going to be today? What's it going to be today? You're getting better or you're getting worse? What's it going to be today? How are you going to make yourself better? And that, you know, and that he applies that to his life right now. 10 years after he's played down in the NFL. But that's how 5'10", 185-pound corners make it to the Hall of Fame. And it's no accident that Mike Tomlin was Rondé Barber's position coach here in Tampa Bay. And it's that type of charisma, that type of expectation. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to Todd, but can you see Todd giving that speech? Maybe he does in closed doors, but
I don't know if it has that same oomph to it.
The Steelers put it on their social media. They recorded it and put it. Are we recording Todd Bowles' messages to the team and putting it in there? The Bucs put out remember the video they put out last year when everybody was talking about Todd Bowles doesn't have a lot of fire?
Yeah.
And they put it out there, and I was like, and that's supposed to tell me he's got a lot of fire? I mean, it did the opposite for me.
I mean, it's one thing like
I hate talking about this because I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love
and you hear
man.
the players say that he is like that, you know, but
is he?
I don't know. I know, like, I listen to that.
There's microphones everywhere.
I just know I listen to that, and, you know, maybe it's unfair of me to compare it to that because we're talking about a Hall of Fame head coach here in Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
But then again, expectations being what they should be around here, frankly, after the success we've had, you expect a little better. But you listen to Tomlin speak like that, maybe Todd Bowles gives those messages, but I don't know if it has the same oomph.
No.
I don't know if he has the same look in his eye when he delivers it like Mike Tomlin does.
Look, how long have we been around Coach Bowles? How long have we been around Coach Tomlin? We know them both.
Yes.
If we haven't seen it by now, it does not exist.
Right.
It does not exist. And this is just the type of coach that he is. Now, if he tried to be Mike Tomlin, it probably would come off as inauthentic and be bad.
Yeah, that's there's a fine line between this. I want Todd to be Todd.
But that's the point. You hired this guy and you brought him back this year.
The problem is Todd being Todd is that's what's best for business.
Exactly. As a head coach.
Yeah.
Great defensive coordinator. But you could just look at what happened last year. What is Bruce Arians that guy? Bruce Arians is that guy we just saw. Him and Tomlin are very similar. They're high expectations guys, motivational guys. They know when they speak, there's a credibility and there's an aura to them of like, I expect this of you. I've been there to the mountaintop. I've done it. You better, bring your ass along.
Yeah.
Whereas you look Todd Bowles, he's won a Super Bowl with us as a defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, where you look at him as a head coach and you go, not impressed by it. And then I say, and what I've been saying, Dallas to Dallas. Look at this football team last year. Dallas to Dallas. Dallas won, coming off Bruce Arians' tenure, an ass-kicking of the Dallas Cowboys in their own backyard. An ass-kicking. The end of the season, after a year under Todd Bowles, an ass-kicking in your own house by Dallas. Did that team get any better?
No, I think they got worse.
Did that team get any better?
I think they got worse.
Over the year, under his tutelage, did it get better? No, they got horribly worse. I mean, and a GOAT saying your game day effort is embarrassing. And yet the Glazers brought him back. And this is I think this roster is good enough to win this division, not a Super Bowl. Good enough to win the division, be competitive. But it's the coaching that has me giving pause because this is an emotional game. It's an emotional game, and it's a game of expectations. It's a game of accountability. It's a game of emotion, and Todd just doesn't seem to push guys to that level. He's not a guy that really inspires you like a Mike Tomlin. As much as I love the dude, I have to sit here as an objective and analyst and say, as a head coach, what is he bringing to the table?
I mean, well,
you're the leader of the freaking franchise, man.
Yeah.
You are setting the freaking tone. And you see what it is in Mike Tomlin. Everybody does it different ways. Tony Dungy did it in a very quiet way.
Right.
But he got the job done. He had a track record. I can see the success. And I've seen Tony give these type of speeches, and it's quiet, but it hits. It hits a different way. And with Todd, you just
well, it's safe to Andy Reid. I mean, I don't think he's the most rah-rah guy.
No.
But he commands a room when he speaks.
Oh, he does.
There's just a difference there.
He
like
does.
I'm not even Bill to an extent. I don't think he's a rah-rah guy.
No.
But when he speaks, obviously he carries a lot of weight.
Well, because the resume is, he can turn his back and you can see the back of his football card.
Yeah.
And it's like what's up there. When you look at Bill Belichick, you see 6 Lombardis.
And in general, you know how I feel about the league right now. I feel like you have to have an offensive head coach in the NFL today. I think it's almost a prerequisite to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think that way. And I look at the AFC. I think this is a good example, too. We've been saying that we've found, there's Mahomes, there's Allen, and there's Burrow, right, as the 3 standouts in the AFC. And we all think that, okay, those guys are going to run the league for the next 10, 15 years in that conference. It's like Brady, Manning, and Roethlisberger, I guess, the modern era of that. Well, one of them has gone to 3 Super Bowls and won 2.
Mm-hmm.
The other went to a Super Bowl and went to an AFC title game, got really close, in Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, not so much.
Maybe regressing.
And what's the outlier there? Defensive head coach.
Yeah.
Defensive head coach. And then you look around, what's going on right now? Issues with the star receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Issues
the
with
star
the
receiver.
quarterback a little bit.
The star receiver walking out leaving the locker room early after the playoff loss.
They had a new offensive coordinator last year too.
It was Dorsey.
Yeah. And
Allen's interception problem crept up again.
Yeah. And Dorsey
and Brian Daboll, they let him get out the building. It probably was more logical for Brian Daboll to be the head coach rather than Sean McDermott, if we're being completely honest. I just think I think that's a valid thing. Is defensive head coaches always worry about we got to. Their offensive line as defensive head coach has not improved the offensive line in 5-6 years of being there. Right. That's a valid criticism. Whereas KC and Cincinnati are always changing it, always going to make it better. Offensive head coaches, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a difference there in the philosophy. And that's why defensive head coaches right now just give me pause around the league. Most of them. Mike Tomlin's almost the outlier at this point because he just outweighs everything because he's such a great coach.
No.
And a motivator.
Intern Nick.
Well, actually, sorry to interrupt, but we have some breaking news from the world of basketball. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Michael Jordan is finalizing a sale of the Charlotte Hornets, ending his 13-year ownership of the team.
A Woj bomb.
Oh, yeah.
A Woj bomb.
And it went fabulously well for him.
No, it did not. Yep, it did.
He probably made money on the deal, though. Not like he needs to make any money.
The entire
what
thing
does he make, like $600 million a year from Nike or some ridiculous amount?
I mean, he's one of the richest.
Cool.
He's so rich.
I had to go look at the credits of Air again, which told me.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money from Nike every year. Interesting that he's getting out.
Yeah, the official ESPN article says he's selling it to a group led by Gabe, hope I'm going to say these names right, Plotkin and Rick Schnall.
Whatever.
Yeah, one is the minority owner of the Atlanta Hawks, but he will sell that.
Right.
What's most interesting is Jordan will continue to oversee basketball operations through next Thursday's NBA draft and the start of free agency on July 1st.
The one thing that he's always sucked at.
Right. Once the sales complete, Jordan's expected to keep a minority stake and a presence in the franchise.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of a useless
kind
sell.
of weird.
He's more into NASCAR right now.
Although
I think
a lot of people we're seeing this across the way. There a lot more sports franchises are being sold lately.
Oh yeah.
The values.
Well, the values are sky high, and there's an economic disaster on the horizon. So I think they all are like, I'm getting out while I'm going to cash out while I can cash out. So
yeah,
probably again, smart move by. In terms of, when it comes to money, he's brilliant. When it comes to drafting, not so much.
And free agency.
Yeah,
Yep.
for everything.
Yeah. He made fun of that GM the entire time in The Last Dance, and then it was his turn. And he couldn't even get that right.
Not so good. Not so good. All right, thank you for that update. All right, so look, we are where we are. Todd Bowles ain't going anywhere, but I think that's something that's sorely lacking on this team, and there's going to have to be some leadership that steps up.
Well,
Maybe some of the other coaches.
Can Dave Canales outweigh some of it, because we know he's got fire?
He does. He does fire. He's got, but he doesn't have the resume. He doesn't have the gravitas. You can stand up in front of the room and give a great speech, and that's great. But
no, but I mean, just the way the players have talked about him so far,
absolutely.
they seem like they're all in on him.
Absolutely. But it doesn't have the weight of the head coach and a Mike Tomlin. Like his personality is not going to drive this team, I wouldn't think. Anyway. All right, let's get into the Rays because we got Scott Reynolds coming up here. Big win yesterday at Oakland. Taj Brasley was just ridiculous. Struck 9 of the first 9 strikeouts. Gets 11 of the first 12 as strikeouts. And, I mean, his stuff was just freaking electric. It was so good. But then he runs into trouble. A couple of bloops.
Just unlucky. A little unlucky there.
Yeah, a little unlucky. But maybe the key play of the game was a double play where the A's had bases loaded, nobody out. And Cash brings in, was it Kelly?
Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly.
A ground ball merchant.
Yeah, but it was not a ground ball. It was a freaking missile. It was a infield in, 108 off the bat, and Taylor Walls is playing on the grass. Bro, I mean, the camera couldn't even get there quick enough. And he just fields it like it's nothing. You know what it's like to field a ball coming at you at 108 miles an hour on the ground? Listen, are you effing kidding me?
Listen, again, going back to my
you do know.
There's a reason why I'm not playing there's a reason why I'm not playing second base anymore.
Where'd it go?
A screamer going underneath the glove. I know exactly how it feels.
And they turn to double play and get out of that with no runs, and then it started with Manuel Margot, who gets his first home run since April.
Against the A's.
Had 2 home runs against the A's earlier in the season, and he had to wait until they came around again to get his third, but it got him going early on in this one.
Park. Why does that park not get more love?
I don't know. And anybody that's been there has it right up at the top of their list.
Spectacular. To deep left center field, Margot. He's got his first homer since April the 8th. Manuel Margot is having quite a series, and the Rays lead 3-0.
Off the State Farm baggie. God, what an awful stadium. What an awful situation. We're going to talk about that.
I could never tell what's a home run in that stadium.
No, you can't.
I'm like always confused.
Yeah, because it's a football stadium. And then after they get the double play and get out of that, next inning, Luke Raley comes up on a day where the ball was wind was blowing in, and this is a curveball that he just absolutely destroys.
They're a tough team to beat right now. There's a drive. The Rays take the lead on a Luke Raley homer. There's the moment, and it's 4-3 Rays in the 8th.
That's Andy Freed doing TV this week, and not as smooth as Dwayne. It's very different from
different from radio.
Very different from doing radio, and I think Andy's trying to let the pictures tell the story. Whereas he's so used to telling the story in words, it's a very, very difficult transition.
I do need to. I wonder
his
if they have.
knowledge of the game is just ridiculous.
I do want to know if they have like the radio calls back, because I want to hear how Doug sounded on radio.
Yeah,
I do want to hear that.
Yeah,
be interested there. But I know Luke Raley hits another home run. He seems to get big hits for this team.
Yeah,
and don't look now, but he's your leader for the Rays in OPS right now.
Is he?
With a 9, I think it's got up to 940 now. He's leading
Bunyan,
all Rays.
That's a Paul Bunyan-esque OPS right there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic for this team this year.
Yeah, and that was a huge hit because, I mean, you lose 3 or 4 to the A's, and Baltimore wins again, which, I mean, it sucks, but you're at 50 wins, and you're, 4 games up in the East? 4 or 5 games up in the East? Could have been 3. I mean, it's crazy, but that's a big hit for Luke Raley. And a day the ball was not flying out of that park, and that was a bomb. And then the bullpen has been fantastic lately, really, really good. And they finish it off and get the get the 4-3 win.
By the way, did you see the thing with Fairbanks?
Split the series.
Did you see the thing with Fairbanks, by the way?
Yes, we got to play that audio.
Well, I think I have that audio. I have to find that.
Yeah, we got to play the audio. This is such a great description of what happened to him. So Fairbanks is on the DL, right? And he shows up with a freaking shiner, like a big old shiner. And everybody's like, oh, my. Was there a Yandy Diaz, Randy Rosarino moment? No, none of that. It was of his own making. And I'm not even want to talk about it. I will just let him describe it because it's one of the best descriptions of what happened. Here we go. This is so good. From Bally Sports.
So we were playing in our new house in the pool, and I pulled the pool basketball hoop down onto my face after dunking on a 3-year-old to, kind of teach him an early lesson in life that, when you're in the paint, you cannot be caught unawares underneath the rim. And did that end up with me with the black eye? Yes. So it was fun. My wife has been making fun of me about it, as has pretty much everybody here. So it's been a good past, like 5 days or whatever it's been.
You got to teach them early, man. You got to show you cannot be caught unawares.
My goodness, in a world of bad parenting, that's top-notch stuff.
That's good parenting.
That's great.
That's great parenting. Right there. That's outstanding. You listen. We have such a soft world these days. You got 3 years old pool basketball
on the IL. Don't matter.
Don't matter if you're in the paint, if you're in that wet paint in the pool, you're near the rim. You must be awares. You must be awares. You can't be unawares, because I'm coming for you. Daddy's coming. Daddy's coming with a 2-hand monster slam that's going to bring down the backboard on my face.
Can I just say, by the way, like, you listen to that soundbite, and then the one he had earlier too, like after he had the bad game against the Mets, I think.
Yeah.
And then just the way he is on the mound with like the glove up here and the look he has. Yeah. Don't you love having, like, you want your closer to have a little bit of psycho in him, right?
He's quirky.
Just a little bit of psycho.
I was going to say quirky. He's psycho. He's got some psycho to him.
Like, who was the one?
And he's got a look to him.
Yes.
He's got like a psycho.
He's got the psycho look, like the eyes. Yeah. And especially with the black eye here.
Yeah. When he's like when he gets on the mountain, and he's wearing and he's wearing the headband. He's got a little, I want to say Nick Nolte there. No, maybe, oh no, it's, who's National Treasure guy?
You're going to come to me for
Nicolas
movies?
Cage. He's got a little Nicolas Cage in him right there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what he's got, a little National Treasure, crazy ass Nicolas Cage.
See, I feel like if you put the makeup on him, he could be a Joker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at his eyes in this photo.
Yeah, there's some psycho eyes there. Yeah.
He looks like I'm going to kill you in your sleep. That's what this looks like. And I like that in my closer.
You got to teach him.
Like, who's the one closer? They used to have these videos all the time back in the day of the most intimidating closers.
Al Roboski.
Because this used to be a thing. Who was the one dude who used to
Gossage, #1.
Oh yeah, but there was the one dude. I think he might have played for the Royals or the Cardinals.
There was a guy who played for the Cardinals. His name was Al Roboski.
Is that the one?
Yeah, and he had a big old bushy beard, right? And he had the Fu Manchu and the bushy beard, and he would go behind the mound.
Yes, that's him.
He would go behind the mound, and he would just like
yeah, that's the one.
And he'd like put his back to it. He'd like be psyching himself like doing a haka dance, and then he'd come up on the mound and he'd start throwing flames.
That's the one.
The great Al Roboski. Yeah, no, but Fairbanks he's not like the high energy like big muscly guy though. He's the guy that you like if you were walking down the street and you just saw him, you'd walk on the other side of the street.
Yeah, a little bit. Because he's also got some height to him.
Yeah, he's got a little crazy eye in him.
Yeah.
And his interviews are fantastic.
Hilarious.
Love him.
By the way, I mean, I don't want to overshadow. You kind of covered it a little bit. Don't want to overshadow, though, the double play by Taylor Walls. I'm not going to bring his name up. I'm not going to do it.
What?
I'm not gonna. You know who I'm thinking of. I'm not going to bring his name up, though, on the show.
What? Oh, Brandon Lau? Yeah, he don't make that play.
I'm just saying. Yeah, so everybody's giving me flack.
There are not many second basemen in this league.
Everybody's coming at me right now. They're like, well, Taylor Walls' bat has gone a little quiet. And I'm like, well, his numbers have regressed right around where Brandon Lau's are. Yeah. And he's giving me amazing defense. Yeah. I mean, again, if
he just saved 2, maybe 3 runs right there.
Again, if you're a WAR guy, his WAR right now is 2, and he's hitting 210. Mm-hmm. 210 with a 710 OPS, and his WAR is still sitting at 2 because defensively he's in the top 10. in WAR, and he's not even really an everyday player until the last week.
Well, how many times do we come in here and say this defensive play won the game?
They really do. Like, he makes so many plays, they're helping them win the game.
I would say, I'm going to say 30 to 35% of their games, I can pick out one defensive play that saved the game. Randy Arozarena in the corner, diving catch.
Yep. Paredes to Walls like last week.
Paredes to Walls, double play, won the game. This double play wins the game. I mean, when you're winning 35% of your games because of your defense, I mean, you know what? You're going to be the first to 50.
First to 50.
They're the first to 50. And they may have 60 by the All-Star break.
They might.
I mean, now they go into San Diego, into Petco Park, one of my favorite parks in the land, where they won the American League pennant during COVID.
Some good juju.
Yeah, good juju in that place. And they're going into it, but the Padres they're back to 500, I believe. They're starting to pull it together.
2 under 500.
All right, they're 2 under 500. So
Tatis has been killing it, though.
Yeah, they're starting to find it a little bit. So this is going to be a really, really good series. National TV on Saturday, 4 o'clock on Fox.
Blake Snell on the mound.
Blake Snell on the mound. Who we got going?
Tonight
Some slapdick prospect?
Tonight is McClanahan versus Yu Darvish.
Ooh.
Little ace matchup here.
The whirling Darvish.
You haven't been great this year. The U ain't been good.
No.
The U ain't not been good.
As I recall, though, he's bedeviled the Rays a bit.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, a lot of soft stuff.
Faced him a lot when he was in Texas.
Yeah, as I recall, the Rays have not fared well. But you know what? This ain't the old Rays.
This about to say these aren't your mama's Rays by no means.
All right, quick break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us, and from the Pewter Report, we're going to talk a lot of Buccaneer football. What did we learn during the OTAs? And I think one thing that we all can probably agree on is I think the Bucs have a starting quarterback, and that's a good thing. That is a good thing as we sit here heading into training camp. So quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. If you've been involved in an accident, they are the first and only people that you should call. And if you've had your car totaled in an accident and you don't think you got the best settlement, you may still have a case. So make the free call. Find out if you got a case. You may get some money. JeevesLawGroup.com, free call. And Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back in 3 with Scott Reynolds. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and his medical team over there will get you right. Try that True Body machine they got there. They'll hook you up to it, and it'll be like doing 50,000 crunches. You get all lean, you get your 12-pack going, Nick. Come on, man. We got to get in there, do that thing. He's having great success with his clients, working with, folks that are overweight, a lot of athletes as well, models, and some other people that want to lean up. It's an amazing machine. So check it out at BAMMC.com and tell them JP sent you. All right, let's go into a chat with Mr. Washboard Abs himself. Look at that hair, too. Just fabulous. The great Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report, who I got to meet your lovely daughter yesterday, which was awesome. Or Mike Neighbors had his lovely daughter out there yesterday. I'm getting everyone confused. I can't hear him. Are you on mute there, Scotty? Are we having one of our moments, Nick, where we got to dump out and dump back in?
Might be. Here, Scott, go ahead and jump out and join the stream again here.
No, Mike had his intern out there. This is how senile I'm becoming. Mike had his intern out there yesterday.
Okay, how about that?
You had your lovely daughter out there yesterday.
Yes.
So, God, man, this getting old stuff is this Alzheimer's is really bad. How are you, brother?
I'm great. Just booked my trip to Kansas State to see Kansas State beat the UCF Knights
Whoa.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, that's going to happen. I'm just.
God, don't you know how this goes? We're blowing up the Big 12. We're going 13-0. We're going to put another banner on the stadium. This one's going to be real though this time. Don't you know how this works?
Listen, I am a closet Knight out of all the Florida schools. Sorry, JP, I like the Knights the best. They're kind of my in-state school, but I did graduate state. Yeah. Nick and I've talked about this. I'm a charge on kind of guy, except for when you play Kansas State. Then it's on. Then the purple power comes out, and it should be a fun time in Manhappiness on September 23rd.
I can't wait for college football season to start. By the way,
yeah. Have you seen Florida's schedule? It's a bit challenging. I don't know.
The Gators?
Yes. Have you seen it?
You mean a non-schedule of Florida State, UCF, and Miami? As the non-SEC part of their schedule, and then still having to play Georgia, Tennessee, and I want to say LSU in there as well?
Yes. Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I mean, there's some schools that play cupcakes. Florida is not one of them this year. It is like all like
what's their non-conference? I haven't seen. I don't remember what
the one that I just pointed out is for 2024 was their schedule, where their non-conference is Florida State, UCF, and Miami, which I think is pretty cool. Wow. They're going to play the entire state of Florida.
It was this year.
That's next year. Next year is the one they're saying is like the hardest schedule ever made.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good luck, Florida.
Billy Napier better. He's recruiting well. What are they? 8? They were in the top 4.
They were up in the top 4 for this year. Yeah.
For 2024. So he's going to need some of them players to get better in a hurry. But
no doubt.
We shall say. Hey, listen, we all know who's winning the national championship this year. Duh. I mean, it's FSU. Jordan Travis is going to win the Heisman. FSU is going to win the Natty. So you ought to just jump on board now.
Who's that like 6'10" receiver y'all have? Johnny something or other?
Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson, man.
Who I think you're going to love when you start scouting next year.
Yeah, next year. Love you some Johnny Wilson.
I've seen some highlight reels from him yet.
Got a lot of Mike Evans in him. Got a lot of Mike Evans in him. Yeah. I like him a lot, and they've just killed it in the portal. Got Jordan Travis to come back. Got Trey Benson, who's I think going to be one of the top 3 running backs coming out this year. Yeah. They're loaded.
You kept your edge rusher.
Yep.
Verse,
Jared Verse is coming. I don't know. They must be paying a lot of money. They're paying more than the NFL's paying because these guys are coming back to play. I don't know what Norvell is selling up there, but he's got this family. He's got this Bobby Bowden, part of the family football faith family thing going, and these guys are just eating it up in the portal. So, I'm here for it. Now they got LSU at the Camping Crap World Stadium in Orlando to start things up. And so we'll be there for that, and that's going to be a huge game because those games, they set up because when you start getting towards the playoff, right? That's what differentiates some teams. Like, did you win those good non-conference games against an SEC team? So you have that. If you're 1-0 against the SEC or 2-0 when you beat Florida, if you're 2-0 against in the SEC, that's going to make even if you got one loss in there somewhere, your resume is going to look pretty good.
I agree. I think it sets up very well for the Noles. I'm not anti-Nole, just pro UCF until they play the men in purple, and then it's a different story.
Yes. All right. So let's get to the men in pewter and red. And we started off today. I don't know if you heard it, but probably not. With playing a clip from Mike Tomlin's speech to his team yesterday.
Okay.
It's, kind of made the rounds on the internet. It's classic Tomlin, great motivational speech, the credibility, the gravitas, standing up there and you're just like, oh, man, I wish that was our guy. Yeah. I wish that was our guy. And as much as I love Todd Bowles as a human being, I love him. He's just the best of the best.
Yeah.
It's just not there, man. It's just not. What'd you tell your team before they left? Come back in shape. Be ready to play.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. There's a different side to Todd Bowles. I've seen it. I've seen a version of Todd Bowles when the microphones aren't in his face and he's not up at the podium. And he is different. He talks in a little bit more colorful language, a little closer to Bruce Arians than you might imagine. And I think that's the side that the players see. And even like when the Buccaneers show some of the post-game locker room clips, even if they win or lose. It's not terribly fiery, but Bowles gets his message across in a particular way, and it just resonates. I mean, I have, yeah, it does. I've actually talked to several, even offensive players. The defensive guys love him. They love him. And I talked to some offensive guys, Tristan Wirfs, Rashad White, Chris Godwin, trying to maybe poke holes at Ty Bowles a little bit. And I couldn't do it. They will tell you to a man that they love playing for the guy. And he is a great motivational speaker. It's just, we don't get to see a lot of that. We don't get to see that certain side of it. He's not as transparent publicly as Bruce Arians or John Gruden is, or animated guy.
Right.
And I think at the same time, too, it's like, this is a team, and mentioning John Gruden, where John Gruden was so hands-off with the defense, right? He was the offensive play caller. He gave Monty Kiffin complete autonomy, very much like Bruce Arians did with Todd Bowles. Todd, this is your defense. You run the show. I'm going to work with Byron, and we're worried about the offense. So having said that, the situation with Bowles is he was hands-off last year with Byron Leftwich. He doesn't want anything to do with the offense, just like Gruden didn't want anything to do with the defense.
Right.
But yet he knew there was a problem with the offense, and he hopes that he's fixed it this offseason with Dave Canales.
But he didn't fix it during the season. He didn't do what he had to do.
He couldn't fix it during the season. He couldn't. If he fires Todd Bowles fires Byron Leftwich.
Right.
Who does he put in? Clyde Christensen? He thought he was part of the problem. Okay.
Anyone who's going to call running plays like he wants. If you're the head coach and the guy's not doing what you want to do, and even the offensive line coach is saying, "Hey, we got the plays; they're not being called."
I agree.
I mean, at some point, you got to go. Bye-bye.
Bowles couldn't. He did not have the green light to do any firing until after the Ravens game. At that point in time, that was when the Tom Brady divorce was just being finalized. And I'll tell you what, JP, and this is not coming from anybody's brain except for mine. This is my opinion, an educated one. If this was a different quarterback last year, I think Leftwich could have been gone during the season. The fact it was Tom Brady, they didn't want to rock the boat. Tom being the guy they didn't want to rock, right?
Okay.
He was already going through a lot with the divorce. He was not having his best season. Now you fire the guy who, whether Brady ultimately liked or loved or disliked Leftwich, is kind of it doesn't really matter. But Tom likes stability, and if you're going to bail on his play caller and give him Harold Goodwin or Clyde Christensen or somebody else, that's not going to set well with Tom. And I think that if it was a different quarterback, probably would have gone down differently. The fact that it was Tom, I think had a lot to do with it.
And I don't want to belabor this point, so I want to get to your eyewitness stuff that you saw during the OTAs. But, as I said in the open, Dallas to Dallas, the opener against Dallas, this team was exactly what Todd Bowles wanted. They ran the football. They were physical. They beat the shit out of the Cowboys.
They did.
And then the last game against that same team, they got the shit beat out of them in their own house. That team, under Todd Bowles, yeah, I know, but under Todd Bowles, you're the man. You are the head coach. Yeah. The buck stops with you. Under Todd Bowles, they went from that to that over a season. It's him as the head coach. That is not a good resume builder.
It's not. It's not. I mean, you can sit there and look at that banner all you want and the team's training facility. It looks nice, but at the end of the day, the Bucs record was 8-9, and you can play all the woulda, coulda, shoulda games. Well, if they would have kept Tom Brady and the starters in, they had a 7-point lead against the Falcons. They could have won week 18. Okay, but they didn't. I mean, I'll show you the record. It was 8-9, not 9-8. You add the playoff loss to the Cowboys, and it's really 8-10.
Yeah,
that's why Todd Bowles needs to win this season. I think he's got to win at least 9 games to show improvement and to keep his job. And I applaud the guy for the stones that he has. He said at midseason last year, I'm not going to fire Byron Leftwich. I'm going to rely on my defense and the greatness of Tom Brady to win us the division championship. And that's what happened. And then this offseason, granted, they had some problems finding an offensive coordinator because some of those guys like Todd Monken turned the Bucs down because of the perception that Bowles might be one and done after this year, or really be two and done. But he went with an unproven guy. There were a couple of guys that had play calling experience on their resume that Bowles could have gone with. And he said, nope, I'm going to go with Dave Canales, whose only play calling experience was 2 years of high school before he got into college coaching and then ultimately in the NFL with 13 years with the Seahawks. But you know what? Kyle Shanahan, Zach Taylor, Mike McDaniel, Andy Reid, you have to start somewhere calling plays. Like there has to be that job, that opportunity. And here's the great thing. Todd Bowles does not want to fail. Right? He wants to keep his job. Dave Canales knows that this is his one and only shot. He's going to have 1 year. If this offense doesn't work, if it doesn't succeed, if Baker Mayfield doesn't turn it around, he is going to go back to being a quarterback's coach or a wide receivers coach for a long time. He may not get another shot at being an offensive coordinator and a play caller. That's how important this is. Look at Raheem Morris. Yeah. Right? He's been a DC. He has not been a head coach since he got fired from the Buccaneers. It is so hard once you get knocked off the perch to get back on, unless you're an Andy Reid, a Dick Vermeil. You know, there's been some retread guys that have had some success elsewhere.
Right.
Bill Belichick, obviously.
Success, yeah.
Pete Carroll, but they're far and few between. So these guys are in it together, Canales and Bowles. They have to find a way to make it work. And here's one observation from minicamp and the OTAs I really, really like. Really, really smart stuff by Todd Bowles. Not doing scripted practices. Treating every 11-on-11 period as a call-it period, which means I'm not going to tell you what I'm running. The coaches aren't going to get together like as usual practice and say, in this period, we're going to do blitz period. Todd, you bring the blitzes. We want to see corner blitzes because we want to have our backs and tight ends work at picking that up. We want to see double A gap blitzes because we want our center and guards to work on picking that up, plus the back if one of those guys comes free. That's usually how practices are scripted between the coaches. The offense and the defense, they know what's coming because they've already scripted out what's going to happen. They don't know exactly what play call and when, but they know in this 8-minute block, this is what we're going to see. Todd Bowles is not doing that with Dave Canales. It's you show up and call your plays, I'll show up and call my plays.
Love it.
And I love it because we've seen, and Canales will script the first 15 plays just like Leftwich did, just like Arians did, just like John Gruden and Dirk Cutter did, and Todd Monken. Everybody scripts the first series or two. Then after that, the adjustments are on, and you have to make adjustments, and you have to play live football. And that's what Todd Bowles is doing for Dave Canales right now. I really think it's going to accelerate his learning curve. The players love it. The coaches love it. And Canales is really getting some of that real-time playing game experience, play calling experience in live situations where he doesn't know what's coming. That's going to continue in the training camp. And I think it's going to fast-track Canales' ability to make some in-game adjustments and make some play calls on the fly.
Yeah, that's coaching up your coach. That's pretty good. I like that idea. All right, I think you said it. You know, Baker Mayfield. You've watched practices as long as I have, 25 plus years of the Buccaneers, and you know you don't need to see a number on the starting quarterback's jersey. The way he moves, the way he interacts with his team, you know who the starter is.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. What you saw this week, I was only out there one day, but just the way he carries himself, the way the team reacts to him, it's Baker's job. It's Baker's job. I mean, I don't.
And it should be. He's got the most experience. If you're Todd Bowles and you have one shot, 1 year to get 9 wins or more, and you're Dave Canales, and you're going to be putting your quarterback out there, and you're going to have one shot, 1 year to prove that you can call plays to see 2024 in Tampa Bay, right? As an OC, not somewhere else as a receivers coach or quarterbacks coach. Are you going to go with the guy that has 9 NFL passes on his resume, or the guy that has a playoff win leading Cleveland to 11 wins and losing to the eventual NFC, or I should say AFC Super Bowl representative in Kansas City back in 2020? You go with Mayfield. He's the guy until he shows you he's not. And he hasn't done that yet. We've seen more interceptions from Kyle Trask than Baker Mayfield in the practices we've watched, which has been 3 or 4 OTAs and then 3 minicamp practices in a row. And we've already heard it. We already know the answers to the test. Both Bowles and Canales have said the quarterback that turns the ball over least is going to get the job. And so far, that's Mayfield. Then you throw on top of it everything you just said. The leadership, the moxie, the experience. All signs are pointing to Baker Mayfield. It's his job to lose. The only way he loses it is if he turns the ball over more than Kyle Trask.
So when it comes to guys who were not really participating in minicamp, obviously Devin White's the big one, which I'll get to in a second. But first and foremost, good to see Shaq out there, obviously, with everything he's been through. But I wanted to bring up Russell Gage because
Who?
It's a fair question. That's a fair question. And I mean, this second year in a row, he's just what is it, a hamstring this time around? I think. I don't know if we've even gotten a concrete answer on that.
They don't talk about injuries, but it
seems like it could be something like that, right? But this is the second straight year. This is the second straight year for him learning a new offense, by the way.
Right.
And he's nowhere to be found. So it's like, are you getting concerned almost that it's just not going to happen at some point for this guy if he just cannot be available?
Yeah, I'm very concerned. I've seen a lot of free agent busts here in Tampa Bay, starting with Alvin Harper back in the early days of my career. Guys like Derek Ward, the running back from the Giants. There's been a litany of guys. There's been some that have worked out. The Vincent Jacksons, obviously look at the Super Bowl teams, the Gronks. He was acquired via trade, obviously, but there's been some guys that just have not panned out from a free agency standpoint. And this, Russell Gage might be the next one. We'll have to see. I don't like the fact that he missed all of the OTAs and the minicamp without seeing one snap on the field in this new offense. It's not like he can't pick it up, but I'm telling you, there are some talented wide receivers, not just Trey Palmer, but in the undrafted free agent class. Then you throw in the fact Devin Tompkins, last year's undrafted free agent star, made yet another highlight reel play going up over at 5'7", 160 pounds, up over Antoine Winfield and Anthony Chesley for a touchdown in the back of the end zone where on a Baker Mayfield throw that was perfect. He goes up and mossed 2 defenders. That's the second time we've seen him do that in camp. So you factor him and Devin Tompkins. Raheem Jarrett is getting a lot of pub as an undrafted free agent from Maryland. Like Cade Warner's made plays, the kid from Kansas State. He's going for the slot receiver position. Ryan Miller has come out of nowhere, the former Furman tight end. He's a very undersized tight end. They moved him to receiver, like 6'1", 205. He's shined, especially in the red zone. Tay Barber from TCU. This is a very, very talented undrafted free agent class, not just a receiver, but across the board. Maybe the most talented undrafted free agent class the Bucs have ever had, with multiple players going to make this team this year. Look out for Marquise Watts, the kid out of Charlotte, the outside linebacker. Keenan Isaac, the tall, long cornerback from Alabama State. Jeremy Banks, the inside linebacker from Tennessee. There's just a lot of talent, not just in this draft class, but after the draft. And I'm with you, JP. I'm not worried about the wide receiver position. It's going to be young after Evans and Godwin, and it's going to be a little small. Gosh, if something happens to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's your biggest receiver at 6'1", 205 after that. But, we'll see. Russell Gage, he's got to get healthy in a hurry and make a difference. He had to take a pay cut from $10 million to $7 million. He can re-earn the $3 million pay cut with good play this year and putting up some numbers. So the onus is on him to do so. He has all the incentives in the world, but can he stay healthy? Can he do it? That remains to be seen.
Yeah. So when you look at the defensive side of the football, we talked at length about this yesterday. And, Kalijah Kancey, I think, is such an interesting guy. I saw him for the first time in person yesterday.
Small guy.
And the first thing that jumps out at you is, man, he is small. If you passed him in the mall and somebody said, that's the Bucs' first-round defensive tackle, you'd say, no, that's the guy that runs the barbershop at the end, near the court. No, I mean, it's like, wow. But when you turn on the tape of this cat, and then he impressed in OTAs everybody just in the way that he handles himself. And I said, without pads, you can't get a feel for who this guy is because it's leverage, getting under people, which they don't want him to do right now. Like stay out of people's legs. Do not go near Ryan Jensen's knees.
Exactly.
So he can't show what he's got. But I've seen the tape, and I've seen him, and I watched him at the podium yesterday. He's all class. He's all business. He's all football.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a trend in the NFL. You got your big guy in Vita Vea. You got your small, quick guy that can get in the gaps, create havoc, and run down some of these really athletic quarterbacks and running backs. And I think this is a trend, and I can't wait to see the thunder and lightning, so to speak, the big guy and the small guy getting after it.
Then you have Logan Hall. Let's not forget about him. Last year's top pick at the start of the second round, who's kind of in between. He's up to around 300 pounds now, so he's kind of a big guy.
Looks much bigger.
And he's taller than even Vita Vea at 6'6". He's just a more athletic, quicker, faster version of Will Golston, which is good. So you really got three different body types up front that can really give Todd Bowles some interesting chess pieces. I'm in agreement with you. The
JTS looks a lot bigger too to me. He's thicker neck, bigger dude now. Yeah.
He does. The one thing I'll say about Kalijah Kancey is, and Mark Dominic had his faults for some of the personnel moves that he made. He drafted Gerald McCoy. He drafted Levante David, he drafted Doug Martin. So, I mean, he's drafted some talent. It wasn't like he was the worst general manager in Bucs history. That's probably Bruce Allen, if not some of the earlier versions back in the old creamsicle days.
/ John Gruden.
Yeah. But one thing Dominic did was when he took over the general manager job, he put in the war room jerseys of some of the Bucs' greatest players. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Mike Allstott, Rondé Barber, for example. And you can look at those and say, okay, that's the Mount Rushmore of the Buccaneers. Use a couple of tweaks here and there. You got to add a couple guys. Right? You got to add Mike Evans and all that now. But the reason why he did that was, if you look at all four of those players, you talk about street clothes.
Yeah.
If you looked at Derek Brooks, even in his prime, he doesn't look like a football player. He just doesn't. And that's all, with all due respect. Warren Sapp was kind of squatty and fat, had a bad body, right? But still one of the most athletic, strongest, deadliest pass rushers of all time. Mike Allstott, kind of a slow, lumbering, thick quad, thick butt, kind of, white dude.
Like
and then you got, exactly. And then you have Rondé Barber, 5'10", maybe 5'9". Yeah. And his whole point was, these are the greatest Buccaneers, right, outside of Leroy Selman, but none of them fit the athletic profile. None of them passed the eyeball test and say, ooh, none of them looked like Simeon Rice. That was kind of his point. And so sometimes you have to take a chance on that, because that guy was Aaron Donald also, right? And you have to find those exceptions to the rule, because they do exist. And when they're exceptions to the rule, what are they? They're exceptional. Exceptional players are Pro Bowl players, and they have a chance to become Hall of Fame players. And I think that was really smart. And of course, his director of college scouting, Dennis Hickey, didn't see it that way. He drafted these Sabby Piscatelli, Quincy Black, Adonis body dudes that just weren't football players. These guys that Dominic was talking about were football players. I think Kalijah Kancey is a football player. Agreed. And yes, there can be times where he gets completely double teamed and wiped out. You got to be careful how you use him, and you have to scheme him. But man, I'm going to give Todd Bowles the benefit of the doubt. This guy can scheme, man. And I'm curious to see how he's going to scheme Kalijah Kancey to not just get Kancey some sacks himself, but create opportunities for others.
So I feel almost obligated to ask a Devin White question. I know we've beat it to death, but until it's resolved, it's not resolved. And we had new stuff come up this week. I heard what Todd Bowles had to say.
Yeah,
I heard what Levante David had to say, and I loved what Levante said more, obviously. Yeah. But just going with what Todd Bowles said, I mean, I think you might have mentioned this on your podcast, that it was just another cover up. It kind of sounded like, and in a bad lie, if we're being honest here. I mean, but then I hear what Levante says, and he makes it sound like, he got too emotional or whatever. Like, I mean, where are we at with this thing? Because like I'm hearing one thing from Todd where he's not physically ready to play, which is odd because why? How is Levante physically ready to play?
Right.
Everybody else is. So,
yeah.
I mean, what did you make really of Todd comments and I guess Levante's as well?
Well, go back to last year. What were we all saying at the OTAs when Leonard Fournette showed up? I'm Leonard Fournette. I'm overweight, you know. And same with Vita Vea. Vita Vea showed up in great shape this year. Last year, I mean, even Todd Bowles said, yeah, like he's got some work to do before camp gets here. And the year before that, Vita Vea, Bruce Arians was saying that. So Vita shows up to camp this year in shape. The 2 previous years, he was out of shape. But what happened? They still practiced. Devin White looks like he's in shape to me, right? He has been working out. So if you're going to put guys that are obviously out of shape out there on the practice field at OTAs to work out, why couldn't you have done that with Devin White? That's why it smells like a cover-up to me.
It's a cover-up.
At the same time, I don't think that Todd Bowles is doing anything dastardly or nefarious about this. The team doesn't want 6 more weeks of negativity about Devin White. They don't want is he going to show up and be disgruntled? Is he going to hold out a training camp? You know, they don't want that narrative. So come out and tell a white lie, a cover story, whatever you want to call it, and say that, you know what, we're going to hold him out and he'll be ready to go for training camp. And I think again, this is my opinion. It might be educated, but it's an opinion. The team is hoping that with each passing day, you get closer to football season, that Devin White's emotions will be extinguished and that he'll be resigned to showing up to training camp and getting ready to play, and that time will heal the wound and that he'll be more focused and ready to go. And if he does participate in minicamp, then he's subjected to questions from the media. But if he doesn't participate, then you can say, well, Devin's not talking this week, just like Ryan Jensen. Well, Jensen was not a full participant. So he's not going to talk about his knee. He was held out of certain drills and all that. So there's some cover given to Devin White. And I think that the reason why the team did it was actually kind of a noble one. They don't want the distraction. They want everybody to calm down, from Devin to the media, and just be prepared to play football, right? In 6 weeks, nothing's going to change, Devin. You're still going to be playing for the Buccaneers. You're still not going to get your money. Show up and play. And that's what I think the hope is to just kind of quelch the narrative right now. And that if Devin decides he doesn't want to participate in training camp practices, then that's a story for another day.
Right. No, it's the smart thing to do. I'm frustrated. I think a lot of fans are frustrated. All you need to do is go back to the Jonathan Drouin situation for the Lightning. It's analogous in that, he leaves and goes home like a little baby, but the organization didn't go crazy and just cut him and get nothing after him. What did they do? They were patient. They brought him back. They rehabbed his image, put him back in the NHL, got his trade value back up. And as soon as they could, he was out. And what did that turn into? Mikhail Sergachev.
That's right.
So if he wants a trade, you beating him up right now and saying he's not here, he should be in shape, and that, like, I want to hear somebody hold him accountable at some point. It's not a smart thing to do publicly. It's correct. Not. You're 100% correct. I was wrong when I said I wanted Todd Bowles to call him out, but at some point you got to call him out at some point. But now is not the time.
Trade him, or you don't call him out. You just trade him during the season. Maybe that's what you do. And that's when Roquan Smith got traded, was in season. It wasn't off season. They were during training camp. It was in season. So we'll see how it all plays out. Listen, Devin Smith had a front row seat to watch Servassier Dennis get a pick six. Just minutes into the 11-on-11 practice. So, to me, that's, that was something, right? I mean,
it was something.
It was good, man. He has been really, really on top of his game, his practices. Hey,
exactly.
My dog. He's saying, "Get out of here, Devin."
Trade him. I heard him. That's what you
Not
said.
yet, Moose. Not yet.
He said trade him.
We'll have to see. But so Moose is trying to join the show.
All right. Well, that's good. It's time for you to go anyway. So I know you got to go walk Moose. So all right, Moose, he's coming. Tell everybody what's coming up on Pewter Report in the quote off season for the next couple of weeks.
So go to puppyreport.com. No, I'm sorry, not Puppy Report. Pewter Report. My dog would like to get a puppy report. Maybe he's the over there. PewterReport.com. The Bucs best offseason coverage you're going to find continues all throughout the summer, all the way leading up to training camp. And, of course, you can follow us on social media at Pewter Report on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and on our YouTube channel, which is nearing 11,000 subscribers.
Nice.
That is Pewter Report TV, where we have podcasts Mondays through Thursdays. Mondays and Tuesdays are at 4 p.m., and then Wednesdays and Thursdays are at 7 p.m. So we hit the at-work crowd when you don't want to like wrap up your work day and you want to watch some Bucs content. You can check out Pewter Report TV. And then we also have the primetime, nighttime crowd as well during the week. So that'll continue all summer long till we get to training camp. So it's going to be
a hot summer.
Season. It is. We have a lot of great previews coming up, getting all Buccaneer fans informed about their favorite team all summer long.
Great stuff, Scotty. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. We'll chat with you down the line. Appreciate it.
Yep,
all right.
You got it. Thank you.
That was my mic. Thanks, Scotty. It's what we got 5 weeks to training camp. So we'll be fine. We'll get you guys through. We'll take a little vacation here and there, but we'll get you guys through. And we got lots of other teams to talk about and get you ready for your fantasy drafts coming up. So lots to get to. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear the commissioner talk about the A's stadium situation and how that may apply to the Rays stadium situation. And John Romano wrote a column today about the stadium situation. So we'll kind of take a look at that and more when we come back here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us. This is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa. And for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions, Paul Thomason and his crew over there. If you have a big event, a charity event, you don't know how to logistically put it all together with the audio and the visual and the decorations, and you want to make it big, you want to make it pop and look big, EPI, they're the people. Extravaganza Productions, they have a warehouse full of props, from palm trees to huge footballs to Game of Thrones thrones. I mean, it's like a playhouse in that place. I've been in there. It's crazy. But the point is, they can do anything that you want to be done. They will come up with ideas for you. In fact, you can have a creative meeting with them for free. Just go to their website, extravaganzaproductions.com, and they will literally bring you in and say, hey, I got a charity event. It's going to be 300-400 people. What's a good space? What do we do? Maybe a theme here or there if you just don't know where to go. And they'll make it look professional and be at the upper echelon. So, I mean, how do you do it? If you want to try and do this by yourself and hire this company and this, don't do it. Like Extravaganza Productions do the whole thing. They just did, see my Las Vegas Smash hat, by the way, the champions of the Pro Padel League. They just did the Pro Padel League tournament out in Zephyr Hills, did a fantastic job with that. So any meetings or events, large or small, Extravaganza Productions, the first people to call. That rhymed. You have to go with that one. Let's record that.
That's a winner right there.
Yeah, that's their new tagline. Extravaganza Productions. Give them a call over there. Go to the website, extravaganzaproductions.com. Let's get to some comments before I get to the columns. And
before we go off on the toad.
Wait till you hear ex-A's players Brandon McCarthy's quote on Rob Manfred. Fan-freaking-tastic. Do we have a little argument here between a couple of our wonderful commenters here?
Yes, and this is a show where we welcome all opinions and we can have a debate.
Yes, absolutely.
Bucs Basement started it here. He said, this defense got torched in 2022. Bulls defense are overrated, blitz too much, and make rookies and third-string quarterbacks look like all pros. Richie responded by saying, overrated? Come on, dude, don't get carried away. And then I chimed in here in the chat saying, and maybe this is going far back, a little too far back, but I said this is the same defense schematically, and coached calling the plays, that held the best team in the NFL over the past decade and the best quarterback that my eyes have ever laid eyes on.
Yeah.
Out
of the end zone.
Out of the end zone, held the 9 points in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So how overrated can he really be?
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. And Bucs Basement said, how many rookies and third-string quarterbacks need to torch our defense to make it clear that we don't have a good enough defense? Also, can we stop bringing up 2020? It's 2023, and last year's defense sucked at the end.
It did.
Which I'm not going to debate you. I told you
it got worse.
Last year the Bucs defense was complete fool's gold. I didn't really care where they were in the standings because when it was time for the big games and the offense was doing its thing, now that didn't help. The offense not doing their thing really hurt the defense all year long.
It did, big time.
So they kind of go hand in hand there, but they were a no-show. I mean, the San Francisco game is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
We didn't go into that game very confident, I'd argue anyway.
Right.
But when you watch Brock Purdy just do his thing and you got guys running wide open, I think that's what bothered me the most is guys running wide open.
The playoff game was
the playoff game was ridiculous.
I mean, that's CD Lamb, wide open in the end zone, guys looking at each other
right.
on a day one install combo coverage.
But as I said, and we talked about this at length yesterday, the secondary was not great last year. That's true. But you need a consistent pass rush to have a great secondary.
When we lost Shaq.
And when you lost Shaq and you're working with JTS and Anthony Nelson,
William Golston, Vita Vea is getting doubled, leading your team in sacks.
I just don't know what you can do. Honestly, I know it's your job as the defensive coordinator to
coach around it.
Coach around it.
You do.
But at some point, it's very, Jimmy. I still think sometimes it's Jimmy and Joe.
I'm not giving him a pass. No, every team gets injuries. Every team gets injuries in the NFL. And if your defense is way worse at the end of the year, Shaq was a loss, but you can't go from shutting down an offense like you did in Dallas to letting them do whatever the F they want in your own building in the playoffs.
I absolutely agree.
And not point the finger at the freaking defensive coordinator. Like, that's bad football. That's bad football.
Can we just all agree? It was a train wreck. Just everything about this Bucs team was a train wreck.
Who was the head coach?
Yes, I understand that. I'm just not going to throw in the towel on his defense right now.
I'm not throwing in
of
the
all
towel.
The things that I could, all the things I could point out, I'm not going to
highly about it.
Exactly.
But if it doesn't, and my point being, he's got the freaking Jimmys and Joes. He's got the guys to be the talent to be a good defense.
Yeah, we pointed that out yesterday.
They don't put it together, especially with the young quarterbacks they're going to be facing this year. If they're not a top 5 defense, at least top 10 defense, then there's
upgraded.
Issues.
They've upgraded at every level as far as I'm concerned. I think the addition of Kalijah Kancey / Greg Gaines is going to be miles better than what you had out of Akeem Hicks and Rakeem Nunez-Roches last year.
Especially when you throw in Diaby and maybe you get something out of
then
Ramirez.
I go to the edge position. You throw Yaya Diaby in there and you throw Jose Ramirez if you can get something out of him in there, and all of a sudden Anthony Nelson is not the number 2 option as the pass rusher, especially if Shaq is healthy. And then I can't say it enough. Ryan Neal, I don't think people understand. This guy is going to be a substantial upgrade over a Logan Ryan or Keanu Neal. I truly believe that. The guy got all pro votes last year.
Yeah.
I don't think you can deny that. And Antoine Winfield, playing his natural position again, is going to be a Pro Bowl player like he was the 2 years prior.
So we agree. You got the Jimmys and Joes.
Yes, I think this year they have everything. There's no excuses. If they go out this year and they get torched by every team they play, the good ones, then I'll have a different opinion.
Yeah, we're seeing a bunch of missed assignments in the playoff game. I mean, come on. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. Anything else in the comments that we need to get to?
There are comments, but I do want to, just because we have a guest coming up at 11:30, I think we should get to this discussion about the A's and Manfred and how this relates to the Rays and stuff like that.
Well, so John Romano's column is basically saying that the A's is a cautionary tale to what's going on in Tampa Bay. And all this does is it looks like a column to me trying to put pressure on St. Petersburg and Hillsborough County to come up with more money. In fact, even in this, he mentions Orlando, which is an absolute effing joke. Orlando has no money. They have no public money. They have nobody stepping up as an owner. They're a joke. And I've been told that whole Orlando charade was just to put pressure on St. Pete in Hillsborough County, somewhat orchestrated by the Rays, coming from a very good source. So to put that in your column, that Orlando, do the research here. They've got no public money and they've got no owner stepping up. So, and that's suddenly a threat? Come on. Jesus, let's do a little bit of research here. And, and blaming the Oakland fans is a joke. John Fisher is the problem. Just like here, it's not the fans that are the problem here. When you have an owner that gives your fans the finger and does everything to piss them off with split city plans and telling them they're not a major league market and all this bull crap that Stu Sternberg has pulled and blaming the fans for low payrolls when he's pocketing tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and just like John Fisher, by the way, is revolting. And this is what Brandon McCarthy, who pitched for 13 years in the big leagues and 2 of them in Oakland, said because Manfred said about the reverse boycott, took a shot at the A's fans saying, "Oh, it was just a normal MLB crowd, but it was great," tongue in cheek. McCarthy tweets out, "This is effing pathetic. How is this not disqualifying? This toad." Manfred, this toad is the steward of a glorious sport, dripping with history, and he feels entitled to mock fans who are making their voices heard as he sits by and caters to hiding billionaires. Why do we accept this in our culture? Bravo. Bravo, Brandon McCarthy. Let's book his ass on this show. Let's book his ass on this show. And this is the problem. You got Manfred, who's hiding these billionaire owners and their revolting behavior on what they've done in the stadium, because Fisher said that Oakland never made a viable offer to the A's. Mm-hmm. And what did the Oakland mayor say?
Yeah, the Oakland mayor straight up refuted that. Julie Edwards. That's a spokesperson for Oakland Mayor Shang Thao. Okay, this was the statement. "This is just totally false. There was a very concrete proposal under discussion, and Oakland had gone above and beyond to clear hurdles, including securing funding for infrastructure, providing an environmental review, and working with other agencies to finalize approvals. The reality is the A's ownership had insisted on a multi-billion-dollar 55-acre project that included a ballpark, residential, commercial, and retail space. In Las Vegas, for whatever reason, they seemed satisfied with a 9-acre leased ballpark on leased land. If they had proposed a similar project in Oakland, we feel confident a new ballpark would already be under construction. Oakland showed its commitment to the A's, and that is why the A's belong in Oakland." End quote.
Yeah, exactly. And
by the way, that was in response to Manfred, what he said, which I think it'd be useful to play the audio here.
Yeah, let's play the Manfred stuff.
Talking about the A's fans.
The real question is, what is it that Oakland was prepared to do? There is no Oakland offer, okay? I mean, they never got to the point where they had a plan to build a stadium at any site. And it's not just John Fisher. You don't build a stadium based on the club activity alone. The community has to provide support. And, at some point you come to the realization it's just not going to happen.
Okay, that was Manfred there.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me play the second Manfred audio. And this is the one that really irks me. And this was him asked about the reverse boycott the other night, where we had close to 30,000 fans show up for Rays A's.
A's game on Tuesday when the fans came out for the reverse boycott?
I was actually at a dinner with the owners.
Did you read the coverage?
I did.
I saw the impression of that.
It was great. It's great to see what is this year, almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in the facility for one night. That's a great thing.
Wow.
This is not normal. This is not what a commissioner of a professional sports league says about a fan base. This guy is an ass. He's an ass.
Yeah.
And he's a black eye on baseball as far as I'm concerned. Ever since this guy has took over, other than the pitch clock this year, which I hated at first, but now I absolutely love it. I can't imagine baseball doing something different. Other than the pitch clock, I can't think of one thing this guy has done to make this game better. Okay? It's like he covers up for the owners continuously. I don't have any sympathy for billion-dollar owners who are crying, "Oh, I can't get my ballpark because the city won't help me out and the taxpayers won't pay for it." I don't have any sympathy. You own a major league team. I'm going to bring. Should I bring up the old Dick Vitale comment.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money to own the team, then don't own the team. If you don't want to play with the big boys, don't own the team.
Don't own the team.
That's
Sell
just
it.
the end here.
Sell
and
it.
John
Take
Fisher,
your $1 billion profit and get out of here.
However long John Fisher has owned this team, it's been nothing but cheap. He's blown up this A's team has found a way to win, right, on the cheap, and now they've completely just gone away from that. They sold off every good player they had. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Marcus Semien, Chris Bassett, Sean Manaea, Liam Hendricks. I could keep on going of those teams that made three straight. Sean Murphy. And by the way, the trades they made, it's not like they made good trades. No. They actually got bad returns because they just they just wanted to get rid of them. Yeah. There was no reason at that point to trade all those players. The A's fans
they had to pay them eventually.
Well, you keep them until you can't.
Right.
They pulled the trigger too early on every single one of them, and in my opinion, it was all a ploy because they wanted that stadium empty so they could present their case to Major League Baseball, see our fans aren't showing up. But why are they not showing up? It's because of John Fisher being cheap and being incompetent as an owner. This is probably the worst owner I think I've seen in professional sports. There's some good guys in the running. There are some great guys in the running for that. But John Fisher, to me, stands above all. The A's fans have been jerked around for so long, and don't tell me they don't have fans. They put 55,000 people in that stadium for a wild card game against the Rays 4 years ago. They have fans. This is one of the oldest fan bases in the entire MLB. They've been there since, 1968? Don't tell me they don't have fans, and don't tell me they aren't passionate.
They are.
This is
it's
total
the owner,
BS.
It's the cheap-ass owner that didn't want to get involved and put up half the money to get the deal done in Oakland. And it's the same thing that's happened here in Tampa Bay. It's the same damn thing. And as Romano writes, if you don't believe it could happen in Tampa Bay, then you might want to re-examine Oakland. Number one, it's a larger market. No, it's not. That is false. San Francisco, Oakland area is a larger market, but you already have one team there. So it's half a market. And Oakland as a standstill market is way smaller than the Tampa Bay market. So that's false right there. He says, number two, it's been an MLB community twice as long as Tampa Bay. That's true. Not sure what the hell that has to do with anything. Number three, while attendance has nosedived the past 2 years, Oakland has outdrawn Tampa Bay over the past 2 decades. Still think it can't happen? I don't even know what that means, okay? The Oakland situation and Tampa Bay situation are different in very many ways. And it's mostly because of the size of the market and where they are. Oakland is a second-tier market to San Francisco. The Giants own that market on that side of the bay. But Oakland has been very successful at times. They just need a new stadium, for God's sakes. And they did not want to be, John Fisher did not want to be proactive enough and put up his own money, so he went fishing for other places that will pay him. And now, honestly, he's ended up with a crappy deal in Las Vegas, just like the mayor pointed out. That's a crappy deal for them. And to take up the Las Vegas market, which is going to would have been a $2.5 billion or $2 billion expansion fee, that's not going to work out great for the owners. In Tampa Bay, Manfred, if the one thing he has been honest about is they're not leaving Tampa Bay, and why would they? It's the 11th largest market. There's another quote in there from some sports economist that says Tampa Bay is a small market. It's not a small market. It's small-minded.
It is
because
the
of their owner.
13th largest media market.
It's the 11th largest media market.
Yeah, it's
DMA. The
11th largest media market
with the
in the
17th
US.
largest in Orlando, an hour away.
Correct.
So basically, with all the people that are coming to this area, especially from the Northeast, you think baseball wants to leave this market and leave a television presence in Tampa Bay? No, they're not leaving here. So this column to me just reeks of let's put the pressure on Tampa and St. Petersburg to come up with more local money, because none of it makes any sense to me. And it's just silly. What happened in Oakland has nothing to do with what's happening here in Tampa Bay. Nothing. So, sorry, just can't be on board with you here, John Romano. And this needs to be focused on where it needs to be focused, and that's in downtown Tampa. And this shenanigans that's going on in St. Petersburg, and now the mayor is getting heat from his constituents on other issues. But the shenanigans, as two people with great knowledge of the situation that's going on in these negotiations told me, the game that's being played in St. Petersburg is not the game you think it is being played. And it's because St. Petersburg's being played. And in my opinion, Stu Sternberg's going to be forced to take the Tampa in Hillsborough County, which Hillsborough County within the next 30 to 45 days will have their next plan because it keeps changing. The reason they don't have a plan is because Stu keeps changing everything. Once again, the guy that said Ybor City was the best location and this was everything we want, and the ballpark is everything we want, we'll be here for generations. Oh, well, you got to pay half. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, this is the same guy who's been thwarting this at every pass because he's been making so much money in Tropicana Field, a place that he doesn't have to pay for, and he can just print $100 million in profit every year. So, and he was going to take it to the nth time, all the way up to the deadline, so he can continue to make that money and put in as little money as he wants to put in to this stadium. So, again, Manfred has failed the fans of Oakland. He has failed the fans of Tampa Bay to protect these billionaire owners because that's who he works for. He doesn't give a shit about the fans.
And that's my thing. I feel like under Bud Selig, we had two instances, right, at least, that I can think of, where he took away ownership, right?
Yeah.
And especially Vince Namoli is the big one that we always remember.
Yeah.
But didn't he do the same thing with Montreal as well to facilitate that move to Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was an ownership switch. I think Luria, Miami became the owner, and the new one, I forget exactly how it worked. But again, it was, Major League Baseball is going to do what's best for the owners. They don't give a crap about the fans, and they're going to do what's best.
This
for
guy's
the
proved
owners
it.
to make
Listen,
as much money as possible.
All I have to tell you that Rob Manfred doesn't care about the fans and the betterment of baseball. Go back to the spring of last year when we were going through this lockout, and this guy's up there laughing, putting on a smiley face about the fact that we're not playing baseball, and he wanted to ride that out. I mean, Rob Manfred, he's the worst commissioner in sports. You can talk about Goodell all you want, while the NFL has continued to grow and grow and grow and grow.
Has been growing money-wise. He's done a great job for the owners in that regard.
But it's all about the owners.
Yeah, exactly.
He's protecting every billionaire that exists in this game.
Yeah.
How's that good for anybody?
It's not. It's not. And these moves are just simply to get more expansion money. They see Oakland as a dead market because
they just want to take over every big market they can find.
Exactly.
That's the end game, right?
To
me, that's the end game.
San Francisco, so they really don't care about Oakland. They want to go get another market where they can get the expansion fee. That's what they want. All right, let's bring in our good friend Paul Wilson, our media mogul, famous actor extraordinaire.
I got to show you this shirt. See this shirt?
Yeah, what is it?
Can you read it?
Def Leppard. Oh, Def Leppard.
No, but it's Dead Flatbirds.
Dead Flatbirds.
So this comes, our band manager used to be head of security for Def Leppard on their big tours, Hysteria. Yeah. Well, they were rehearsing for that record in Joe Elliott's mom's basement. And she comes downstairs with like tea and crumpets or something, and says, "What are you guys doing?" Well, the band is Def Leppard, and she says, "You sound more like Dead Flatbirds to me." So they made the shirt for the band for that tour. So this is a replica. There you go.
That's fantastic. You got the best stuff. All right, so you went and saw Flash. You went and saw Flash, and you can't wait to talk about this movie. No spoilers, obviously. We're going to talk about it.
It's going to be hard because I'll say this. What Marvel has done incredibly for almost 20 years by having these giant universes and these big stories and still a lot of fun, DC kind of has not really done that until now. This is probably the most fun I think you'll have with a superhero movie, especially given the fact that, this beleaguered Ezra Miller has certainly had some legal problems, but he really shines in this role. He plays two versions, right? And the basic setup, it's based on, in 2011, I believe, there was a comic book called Flashpoint, where the Flash goes, finds different so-called universes, right? And then things go crazy. So it's kind of based on that. He's got to go back in time to figure out, who murdered his mom and try to save his mom. And his father's currently in prison, for the crime. But what he does is kind of unlock this crazy universe. And I think we all know that there's one Batman named Michael Keaton who shows up. And I will tell you this, it is no cameo. He shows up and he is in it to win it. So he's a lot of fun to see. Those nostalgic types. And there's several other faces too that I'm not going to give away, but there's several other faces that you go, what? Wow. So you got to see it. It's really fun. If you like that at all, you'll love this.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I have not dived into DC as much because I'm a big Marvel mark, I guess I could say, right? And I just hear things all the time. Like you say, like DC just doesn't have that reputation for putting out a great movie like Marvel does. And I was reading some reviews on The Flash because I've been going to movies. I see the previews and all that. Michael Keaton, it looks good. But obviously CGI is like a very important part of the experience, I guess, when you're watching these shows. I saw some reviews of people saying that the CGI in this movie was a little spotty. Did you kind of see it the same way, or how did you kind of have an opinion? Because, I mean, a lot of that is very important, I guess, with these superhero type films.
I think so. I wouldn't say spotty. There's part of the design of the going into an alternate universe is this kind of warped reality. So I think a lot of people are missing that was in the comic books. It wasn't a clear, visually perfect alternate universe. It was kind of weird and wonky. So there's a little bit of that that's, I think, explained in the plot. It didn't bother me at all, especially seeing some of those faces that you haven't seen in a long time. I mean, a long time.
All right. I'm in. I'm going to see Flash. No question about it. All right. What else? It's summer movie time, blockbuster time. What else is out there that we got to go see?
Well,
by the way, I went and saw Guardians with Jay
and
my daughter. Loved it. It's just they can make 100 of those movies. I'll see them all. I loves Chris Pratt. Love the whole all the characters. It's not too serious, right? It's all in fun. I loved it. I thought it was a great summer romp.
Well, then I think you'll really have fun with this one, with the Flash. And before we leave the Flash, I think what the Flash does, what was really ambitious about my buddy Peter Safran, who with James Gunn now kind of runs the DC Extended Universe. It's just kind of a reboot or a reset. We're going to start seeing things, because we have Pattinson's Batman over here. We've got maybe another couple Batman that we've seen before that could come back. So I think what this really does is it does kind of reset it very well, but gives it a lot of opportunity. Certainly with the writer's strike that's still going on, that I think is still going to go on for another 100 days. You've got like the Max series, which is a spinoff of the Batman called The Penguin. They're shut down. A lot of these projects are shut down right now in production. So I think next year, provided they get through this soon, or before winter or fall, Hollywood's basically a 9-month business, right? So they're going to be having turkey, and that's the end pretty soon for several months. But it's a really ambitious kind of reset. Another movie that's coming out next week. By the way, there's a cute little family movie, a Disney animated movie called Elemental. And it's about how fire, water, smoke all get along. It's a really, really cute little family, kid movie. That's out this week. Next week, we have Wes Anderson's, they're calling it one of his masterpieces. Now, Wes Anderson, who's got a very unique sense of comedy and stillness. Bill Murray was kind of his muse for a long time, from Royal Tenenbaums, all the way through. Grand Budapest. All kinds of fun.
I love both of those movies. Yeah.
Well, this one's called Asteroid City. We would spend 20 minutes telling you who's in that movie, but everybody's in that movie. Okay. From Scarlett Johansson to Ed Norton to Bryan Cranston. It just goes on and on and on. It's just a litany of superstars, but it's basically set in the 50s at a space camp where some kids are basically these, space cadets and looking at the stars, and then an alien shows up. So it's way out there. That comes out next week, and that should be a lot of fun. Reviews. I talked to my brother about it, and he can't wait to see that. And he told me
the way that's shot. Talk to me about the way, because I've seen the previews, and the coloration of the movie looks completely different, very nostalgic, but yet not grainy. Like just the way it's shot, the tree. I'm like, what is that, and why is it so intriguing to me?
Well, first of all, they shot that in Spain. It's supposed to be set out west, but they shot that in Spain during COVID, so they were in production and were able to kind of keep that. And you'll notice, I think too, when you see, if you really pay attention, those actors don't get too close in some of those frames. That's because of COVID. Now, he's a magnificent cinematographer, visionary on giant landscapes. But I heard someone describe the way the desert dirt and the sand against that blue sky reminds you of a creamsicle, which we know all about here in Tampa Bay.
Our creamsicles,
But
it looks really cool.
He's very famous for kind of a muted color palette. This one is very rich, but not vivid. So, and it's part of the tone, I think. Tony Scott was really good at that. The late Tony Scott was really good at creating emotion with, back in those days, they shot it in film, but you could tint the frame and really kind of crown it. If you remember, like Revenge with Kevin Costner and Madeline Stowe, that was kind of his version of a Top Gun light that got real dramatic between those two and the late, great Anthony Quinn. But even Top Gun, those stylized shots where you got smoke and you got light, West goes the other way, and it's very sparse and very entertaining. So you got to go.
All right, I'm in on that one for sure. Actor Paul Wilson joining us here. Anything going on locally? Anything shot locally? Anything in the pipeline? Nothing.
Well, I mean, a shameless plug. A movie I shot last year comes out in 2 weeks. Radar, the Adventures of the Bionic Dog. Radar is an acronym for Remote Activated Doubloon Acquiring Rex. Radar. We shot that last May, and that's coming out in 2 weeks.
All right, looking forward to that.
There's some stuff going on, stuff that was already kind of in the queue. But sadly, I think, again, not to get boring with the strike, but that also shut down a lot of commercial and television production. I mean, you look at what SNL's in, and SNL was going to have Pete Davidson back, who left the show, but he was going to host the show this week. And they just, I think earlier this week said, you know what, we're going to go back to rerun. We're not going to air that show.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of productions are kind of stifled right now. We do have a lot happening here that's, let's say, kind of local productions, because we've lost a lot of that, out of state commercial big brand stuff because of the strike. But it's kind of quiet right now, and I think things will kind of fire up here pretty soon once they kind of solve it. Now that the Directors Guild is kind of, more or less negotiated their deal, I think you're going to see, you can't have Hollywood shut down. You can't have. I mean, think about all these projects that are shut down, especially with the dearth of content that all want to keep you watching, Interestingly about that too, I think, there's a thing called Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. You probably heard about that. That's coming out in 2 weeks, and the reviews are in, and most of them are kind. Some of them are a little bitchy, I'd say. They're getting the spirit of this character that's 40 years old, and he's actually 80 in real life.
Right.
But it's a great send off for that character. We'll talk about that next week too.
So we talk a lot about on here about, comedies seem to be almost dead, at least in the mainstream, right?
You can't offend anybody.
Yeah, it's very hard to make a comedy, I guess, nowadays. But I have seen the previews for this one. I think is it No Hard Feelings, if I got that right? The one with Jennifer Lawrence that's coming out?
Yes.
I love that trailer.
Just looking at the trailer, I'm hooked. I'm hooked. And it almost has the makings of one of those like borderline, like raunchy comedies, maybe I'll call it, that we used to be accustomed to seeing. Does this one have a chance, you think, to kind of bring us a little bit forward with the comedy section here?
Yes, sir. I do believe, and I think the lack of the rom-coms or the romp-coms was because of COVID, because most of the viewing habits of America changed, obviously, during the lockdown. And with my, although he's not here, with my luminary ex-newsman father, and then my brother Mark, documentaries are kind of the new news, right? So I think COVID kind of conditioned us to learn a little bit more about things or be entertained as we're learning. And that kind of killed the comedy part. Plus people were, dealing with all kinds of stress during COVID. But yes, you're right. I think this is the beginning. There's a really fun, I have to look this up, but I think it's next week. There's a really fun, crazy horror comedy coming out next week. So that will be interesting. I'm not even going to give that away, but that's, 50 cents in it. So it's going to be really fun. But you're right. think we're going to see a lot more fun. And of course, it's Jennifer Lawrence, and she's really got kind of a Lucille Ball style of slapstick fun comedy that's just really awkward for such a pretty, great artist.
You did not mention Insidious, The Red Door.
That's right.
Directed and starring some dude you might know.
Yes, well, I was going to save that for the little button at the end because I'll be at the world premiere in 2 weeks. So I can tell you all about that in 2 weeks. But
that's
yes,
that's your brother's movie.
Directorial debut, Insidious 5, the 5th installment of that other horror franchise that's a monster of a franchise, reunites the cast 10 or 12 years later after the last one. And their son has gone off to college. And all of a sudden, the stuff he thought he got away from follows him. So,
I got chills. Look at my man. Look at my man. He's like he hates horror movies. He hates. I've become to love them in my later life.
I can't even stand when they have the previews that come on. Like I'm watching a ball game and it's at night, and I hear a preview come on and I'm hearing all this loud screaming. What was the one with the I can't even remember the one that just came out, the recent horror film, and they were blasting the preview everywhere of like
Megan. Was it Megan?
Maybe it's like the mom. I think it's like a mom who like turns into something.
Evil Dead Rise. Yes.
Yes.
By the way, I saw that.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. I hated that preview. I just could not do it.
Well, and I think that it's interesting you said that because what's interesting about, if you're a horror fan, what's interesting about there are really 3 classes. Full on slasher, right?
Right.
Halloween, that whole series, and to a degree, Evil Dead is part of that, and there's a lot of gore in that movie. And then there's the satanic involvement or tempting dealing with Satan, which is, Conjuring. We were part of that. That to me is the most bone chilling, The Exorcist. Anything to deal with spirituality and, based on the fact that, how can you acknowledge God if you can't acknowledge the existence of the devil, right? But Insidious is about auras and about other dimensions. It's still evil and scary. But it's not, for me, it's not quite as scary as Conjuring, or Exorcist, which is getting a reboot. Because that's really you kind of one over your shoulder at night, for sure.
Well, they all do that for me.
You just glitched when you did that.
I know, that freaked me out right there.
You totally glitched when you did that. You turned your back. Oh my God, there's something behind. What is that behind you? Are you playing tricks on us? What is that?
Right there, Nick. Right there. No, just kidding.
Don't do this to me right now. Listen, I'm the same guy who sometimes still to this day, when it's like one of those weird nights sometimes and it's dark in the room, like I feel like, Pennywise is gonna like come out of my closet or something. Like truthfully, I'm still like that movie still freaks me out to this day.
You feel about clowns.
Did you like It Too, the follow-up?
It Too?
Good.
I tell you, I saw that in the theaters with some of my friends. Yeah. I have never felt a feeling like I did watching It Too, and I'm not talking a good feeling. I mean the running up not just my spine, but up my neck and up my head. Like it's like the first scene too, where like he's like on the other side of like the river, I think.
Yeah.
And you first see, I'm getting chills right now. You can see it. You can see my arm right now.
Feel that warm sensation running down the side of your leg?
Pretty damn close. Pretty damn close, honestly.
It's not liquid. But speaking of, the director of the It movies, Andy Muschietti, is the director of The Flash. So you might be interested to see that he's got a different set of chops showing. So.
All right. Okay, we'll talk to you next week because we got some other there's a Mission Impossible coming out later this summer.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah. So, all right, good stuff, man. Have a great weekend. All right, we'll see you.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you, my friend. Great dad that you are. So, yes, let's have a beer about that soon. All right, my friend. Wow, that was chilling. When he looked behind him, he glitched.
He glitched right at that time.
He totally glitched.
Oh. The scary movies. I haven't watched a scary movie in years.
His whole setup,
either.
I felt like somebody was coming up behind him, like somebody was.
I really did.
He's going to do that to us one day.
See, now this is what I hate. We just talked about scary movies. So all the ones that I've seen, I've got like views of like the third Conjuring all coming back in my head right now. I can't get that damn clown out of my head right now.
The clown is just... Yeah, that I saw. That's the one I saw. It too. That was. Oof.
That was bone chilling to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I love it. Do we need to take another break? A quick break.
Yeah, we need one more quick
All right,
break.
quick break. When we come back, we got to get to USA, Mexico, and the U.S. Open. I watched a lot of U.S. Open yesterday. Holy hell, Ricky Fowler. We're brought to you by American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald, he will help you out with your home loan. Even though interest rates are up, they have some interesting programs that can help you deal with that. So find out what the numbers are. Just don't say, I'm not going to buy right now. The interest rates are too high. Don't do that. Find out what's going on. Have a conversation with Scott Fitzgerald. He's the best in the business. Scott at amstampa.com. Scott at amstampa.com. Back in 3. Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by the Golden Diamond Source. If you haven't got a Father's Day gift, there's still time. Head on over to the Golden Diamond Source. They got a huge sale going on right now. Get your daddy a nice shiny watch, or your husband a nice shiny watch, or a pendant, something that will be meaningful to him. So go do that. Go to the Golden Diamond Source. Tell him JP sent you. All right, so the U.S. men's national team gets a 3-0 win over Mexico in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinal on Thursday, but it had to be halted because of a bunch of fights and then anti-gay chanting. What the hell was going on here? Intern Nick, you have the story on this?
Just a whole lot. None of it good except for the fact that USA won 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Like, moving on to the finals. 3-0. Thank you. Let's go. It's just like, I'm assuming you're looking at, some of the news on it right now, and everything is just so negative about Mexico, the team, their football federation. Like you said, there's fights going on. I don't agree with some of the referee's decisions. Like, he also carded 2 USA players, but one of them was because Weston McKennie was trying to fight back because they literally were ripping his shirt off. And by the way, that image of him walking off kissing the USA crest, that's going to become iconic. Like, that's my player right there.
I saw the highlights of it, or the lowlights as it were, and it just turned into a freaking brawl.
I will say it should be some highlights because the USA still played a great game. I mean, Christian Pulisic had 2 goals, could have had a hat trick. I mean, they played a great game. Mexico, on the other hand, I keep seeing people say this, they had no fight until they were down 3-0, and they decided, hey, let's actually fight these players, and that's what happened. And it's not just them; it was their fans. And this isn't shocking because they've done this a lot, but They're throwing things on the field, and then, like you mentioned,
because of all Mexican fans chanting an anti-gay thing.
There's
what's the gay thing have to do with anything? Do we know?
I know what the word is. I don't know what it translates to. It's the word puto. I don't know what that translates to.
This is a like soccer. This is part of the soccer culture that's not great. Yeah. If you'll see this a lot in Europe, especially Spain. This is a big problem, especially for black players who play in Spain. Yeah, and it is just ridiculous. It happens all the time in soccer. I don't understand why. It just does. But it's definitely a stain on the sport, and you saw it last night. I just think Mexico, they've been lapped. They've been lapped by this country in soccer. In their own game, they've been lapped.
They haven't beaten the United States. The last time they beat the United States, COVID hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's been years.
It's been a bit.
And I don't think the fact that this game got called will, most people kind of overlook that fact because, like, they weren't winning at that point. It was up. We were up 3-0. But yeah, like they gave him 12 minutes of extra time. They called it in the 7th because they just would not stop chanting, that word. And like, if you go online and do some research, you'll see it. People have been ranting about this for a while now. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, people are like, something needs to be done. You're seeing all these things, like people saying like USA should ban Mexico from playing friendlies on U.S. soil. This wasn't a friendly. This was a semifinal, so they can't really do anything about that. But then there's like, they need to be banned. Mexico needs to be banned from tournaments. There's all this stuff. Like, it's just, there's nothing good that comes out of this. Me personally, I'm just choosing to, look at the fact that like United States just beat our biggest rival to go to a final again, which I am so happy about.
And they have a new old coach.
Yeah, talk about weird, wasting time
in the middle of the match.
In the middle of the match, this kind of came out. Greg Berhalter, who's getting rewarded for, just doing what you should have done, quite frankly, and then having an awful game plan against Holland in the World Cup. And, hey, you're rewarded, MLS coach. So,
but, like, it's not just that. That's got to be awkward. Like, is Gio Reyna still there? Because if you remember, that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
they're totally just
his
making
family
things
came after
worse
him,
with
and
perhaps your most talented player.
That makes no sense.
It makes zero sense at all, but the U.S. Federation has been
such an on-brand thing for U.S. soccer.
Exactly.
And real quick, the U.S. Open yesterday, Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele both shot 62 U.S. Open records for the 122-year history at the L.A. Country Club, which they made the fairways way too wide. Soft conditions in the morning led to 2 62s and a 64 by Scotty Scheffler, who's suddenly putting well. And when Scotty Scheffler putts well, everybody else can leave the room because he doesn't miss a shot ever. So yeah, it was the lowest scoring average in the first round. Nobody shot 80 or more. It was a birdie fest at the U.S. Open, which we don't want to see. So today is going to be, they're going to have some nasty ass pins. It's going to be ridiculously hard for these guys. So, but Ricky Fowler, a guy who's been
story,
been there and back. Good story.
Didn't even qualify for the last 2 U.S. Opens, if you remember.
Yeah, he's really gotten his game back working with Butch Harmon, and that's fun to see. And they've got a lot of big names on the leaderboard. It's going to be a great watch this weekend. And that course is beautiful, by the way. It is eye candy. It's golf porn. I'm here for it all weekend long. I'm all in. I can't wait to play that course. I don't know how I'm going to get on there, but I'm going to play that daggum course.
Can't wait to see Dustin Johnson win this thing.
DJ, you got DJ?
I'm
going with Scheffler.
I need my live guys to thrive.
I got Scheffler. None of us picking Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
I hope he wins.
Last thing for today, real quick, John Morant. The decision came down from Adam Silver. 25 games suspended.
I'm surprised. Games. I thought it would be I thought it was going to be a full season.
I would have sent a harsher message.
Yeah.
I really would have.
I think it needed to be at least 50.
50 would have been great.
At least 50. Bring it back for the playoffs or whatever. 25. Wow. Yeah. All right. We'll see. I don't think either one of them is going to matter, to be honest with you. I don't think it ends. I just think it ends poorly for John Morant, unfortunately. And that's sad. All right. Great job today in this entire week. Both you, Nick and Nick's, well done. We will be back on Monday with more fun and frivolity. Have a great weekend. It's the Rays in San Diego at Petco Park. Wish I could be out there for that. And we'll be back on Monday with a wrap up all the weekend shenanigans, including the U.S. Open. We'll try to get Gary Koch on Monday. And we will see you then. Have a great Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the great fathers out there.